Welcome, friends. Today, we're going to explore one of the most profound and transformative aspects of the Christian faith, the boundless, incomprehensible love of Jesus Christ and the power of faith that can change everything in our lives. If you're feeling lost or unsure of your purpose, or if you're simply looking for deeper meaning, I encourage you to stay with me. This message is for you. When we think about Jesus' love, it can be hard to wrap our minds around its true depth. We live in a world that often defines love by how we feel in the moment, based on our experiences or what we can offer to others. But when it comes to Jesus, his love is something entirely different. It's not based on how good we are or how much we've earned it. It's not temporary or conditional. It's a love that transcends time, a love that was demonstrated in the most radical way possible, the love of Jesus on the cross. The Bible tells us in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Let that sink in for a moment. God, creator of the heavens and the earth, loved us so much, so deeply, that he sent his only Son, Jesus, to live among us and die for us. This wasn't just a display of love. It was an act of ultimate sacrifice, one that reached across time and eternity. Imagine this: God himself, who needs nothing, who is all-powerful, all-knowing, chose to send his Son to die in our place. Why? Because he loves us. That's the first thing we need to understand. Jesus' love is sacrificial. It's not just about words, it's about action. Jesus laid down his life for us, knowing we were imperfect, knowing we were broken, and knowing we could never repay him. This kind of love is incomprehensible by human standards. In Romans 5:8, it says, "But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." You see, Jesus didn't wait for us to clean ourselves up or to get things right before he gave his life for us. His love is not conditional. It is unchanging, unearned, and unconditional. Even while we were far from him, lost in sin, in pain, and in brokenness, Jesus chose to love us. Think about how different our world would be if we loved one another with that same sacrificial love. If our love wasn't based on how someone treated us or whether they deserved it, but on the deep, unwavering love that Jesus has for us, how would that change our relationships? How would that impact the way we forgive, the way we serve, and the way we see one another? Jesus' love is not just a feeling, it's a call to action. When he loves us, he invites us to love others. In the Gospel of John 15:13, Jesus says, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." This is the standard of love that Jesus set. It's sacrificial, it's selfless, and it's radical. To truly follow Jesus means to love others with the same kind of love he has shown us. Now, this brings us to another powerful aspect of the Christian faith, faith itself. What is faith? In Hebrews 11:1, we are told, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Faith is believing in something beyond our understanding, beyond what we can see with our eyes. It's trusting that God will do what he has promised, even when the circumstances around us seem uncertain or challenging. Faith is not always easy. It requires us to trust God even when we don't have all the answers. It requires us to take steps forward, sometimes in the dark, knowing that God is leading us, even though we can't always see the next step. Faith is about trusting God's character, his goodness, and his plan, even when life seems hard. Let me remind you of a story in Matthew 14:22-33, where Peter steps out of a boat to walk on water toward Jesus. For a moment, Peter walks on the water, trusting Jesus. But as soon as he takes his eyes off Jesus and begins to look at the storm, he starts to sink. Why? Because his faith wavered. He was focused on the challenges around him instead of the one who could overcome those challenges. This story reminds us of a powerful truth. Our faith must be rooted in Jesus. As long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, he could do the impossible. But when he became distracted by the storms, he faltered. Jesus, however, didn't condemn him. He immediately reached out his hand and caught him. That's how Jesus works with us. When our faith wavers and we begin to sink, He is there to lift us up. Faith is not about having everything figured out or having no doubts. It's about trusting Jesus, even in the uncertainty. It's about choosing to believe in His goodness and His power, even when we face difficult circumstances. Faith is taking that step toward Jesus, even when the storm rages around us. Thank you for listening today. Remember, you are deeply loved by Jesus,